Welcome to the Floridaville Express. This show is hosted and produced by our team at Rocket Ship Consultants, and it's based on our popular podcast, Floridaville. The Floridaville Express is a weekly condensed show where we highlight people who are making an impact in Florida. I'm Nathan Moon, an attorney, an author, and the content director at Rocket Ship.
And I'm Rosanna Catalano, an attorney and the founder of Rocket Ship Consultants, a strategic communications firm, and our mission is to launch your business or organization to the next level.
Our guest tonight is Fred Karlinsky, who is the co-chair of Greenberg Traurig's Insurance Regulatory and Transactions Practice. Fred has nearly 30 years of experience representing the interests of insurers, reinsurers, and a wide variety of other insurance-related entities on their regulatory, transactional, corporate, and governmental affairs matters. Welcome to the show, Fred.
Thank you very much, Nathan and Rosanna, for having me.
Well, Fred, I see you at the Florida Capitol a lot during legislative session. Committee weeks for 2022, I don't even want to say it, but they are just weeks away. What are the big issues you're working on?
So, yeah, we're looking at September and starting up. So it's sort of crazy when the legislature a few years switched to an earlier session in even years, it really compacted that period. But I think the big issues next year or really this coming year, are going to be property insurance still, while Senate Bill 76 did a lot to hopefully curtail some of the abuses and fraud that goes on in the property insurance arena. There's always something to do there. We always have budget issues, even though this year we had a very robust budget, which was surprising to some, including me, frankly. But I think with or without the federal dollars, the state was doing great. And then lastly, of course, and we're all dealing with this now, the tragedy in Surfside is going to change. It's going to deal with, there's going to be issues dealing with building codes. There's going to be issues dealing with insurance and liability. So as far as what I see on the horizon, I think at the very least, budget, property insurance, and then the progeny of Surfside are going to be things we're going to be addressing next session.
Well, I know that last month Governor DeSantis signed Senate Bill 79, which is a property insurance reform bill. Once again, we're talking about property insurance. You know, Florida homeowners, they keep seeing rate increases and limitations on coverage, and they seem to have a bit of less choice in insurance companies because many of the insurers are pulling out of Florida. But on the flip side, we see that many insurers are facing heavy litigation, and they have issues with maintaining good financial results and sort of sustaining those A ratings. Is there a way out of this, do you see?
Well, so it's Senate Bill 76. You said 79, so you inverted the 6 and the 9, but we're all good there. Either way, it was a Senate bill that passed. Do I see any way out? I think what we have done a good job in the state of Florida in dealing with is natural disasters. I think we understand how to deal with hurricanes. CFO Petronas often quotes my line when we talk about how bad things are after a hurricane. That's why they call it a disaster. But I think in terms of adjusters and reinsurance and some of the other financial mechanisms out there to deal with property losses in the event of a natural disaster, I think we've done a good job in learning how to deal with those. What I don't think we've done a great job as a state is in dealing with some of the man-made disasters. We had years ago mold is gold, then sinkholes that were just cracks in tiles. Then we had AOB. And certainly now we have a situation where whenever the wind blows, unscrupulous roofers and others come out and say everyone needs a new roof. Well, of course, we know that's not the case, but there's a system that's set up that is really against the consumers, because the consumers are the ones that ultimately pay for this. It's not the insurers. The insurers pass it along. And so when you look at those types of fraudulent situations, fraud is not a victimless crime. The Coalition Against Insurance Fraud, which I'm involved with, that organization, says or calls it a fraud the crime that we all pay for. And I think that either way, whether you say it's not a victimless crime or you say we all pay for it, it's true. And frankly, we do pay for it. And so I think understanding and making sure people understand that when they file these claims that are less than truthful, that someone has to pay for it. And if you look to the left and you look to the right, it's your neighbors and frankly you that are ultimately paying for it. And that's not a good scenario.
Yeah, with all of those sorts of things going on, Fred, what kinds of insurance do you think Floridians should have sort of at the minimum?
Well, so, on one hand, you have to have PIP insurance. That's mandatory, and there was a move afoot this year to do away with the PIP system that we have in place. The governor ultimately vetoed it because the system that was contemplated to be put in place was actually a system that would have cost more money and would have had premiums increased for pretty much everyone out there. And so the governor vetoed it. But you have to have PIP insurance if you're going to drive a car in the state of Florida. You also, if you own a business, by and large, and there's few exceptions here, you have to have workers' compensation insurance. Then, if you're a homeowner and you have a mortgage, or frankly, even if you don't, you really should consider homeowners insurance. If you have a mortgage, you need it. The bank will require it. And if you don't have a mortgage, you got to think about whether you can afford to rebuild your home if you didn't have insurance. But the one thing that people need to understand about homeowners insurance is, and this is not just Florida, this is nationally, it does not cover flood insurance. We in Florida are in large part in a flood zone. And so even if you're not in a flood zone from the National Flood Insurance Program, from their maps, I would strongly urge you as a homeowner to look at flood insurance as well. Flood insurance from the NFIP, and now there's a whole host of private options on the flood insurance market. But you also need to make sure that you have excess flood insurance if your home is worth more than $250,000.
Yeah. And I'm sure it obviously depends on where you are, but flood insurance is actually not terribly expensive. I remember I had to have it for a home, just barely one corner of my property was potentially in a flood zone, and it was very reasonable.
Relatively speaking, flood insurance is less expensive because if you think about it, I mean, like life insurance, it's a lot harder to manufacture a flood. There's either a flood or there's not. There may be some instances where there's a question about whether the causation is wind versus water. But at the end of the day, floods are a lot more difficult to manufacture than, say, roof claims.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, your practice has also allowed you to become very politically active in Florida. You currently serve as the chair of the Florida Supreme Court Nominating Commission, and you served on Florida's recent Constitutional Revision Commission. So can you tell us about those organizations and your role in each?
Well, I don't, and I appreciate the question. I don't know if they've allowed me to be more politically active, my roles, or if I've, by necessity, needed to or wanted to be more politically active. But I serve and have served for many years on a JNC in Florida prior to joining the Supreme Court Judicial Nomination Commission, which I currently chair. In 2014, I served as a member and then as vice chair and chair of the 17th JNC, the JNC in Broward County. And I think that's just a way to give back. When we have judicial vacancies, it's really important to make sure that the most qualified individuals are reviewed, and the reviewing process is intense. I mean, at any given applicant, you may have 20 or 30 different people that you need to call to check out that applicant's background, to check out their character, their demeanor. And so I did that for dozens of judges, judicial vacancies on the 17th. I've done it now for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 justices on the Florida Supreme Court. And I'm very proud of the work we've done there. I think in a lot of ways, the justices that were selected have been selected by originally, while Governor Scott was here, Justice Lawson, and then the 5 justices that have been appointed by Governor DeSantis, because you had 3 initially appointed. You had Justice Barbara Lagoa, Justice Robert Luck, and then Justice Carlos Muniz. And then when Justice Luck and Lagoa went up to the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals, Governor DeSantis then selected Justice Grosshands and Justice Coriel to take their seats. And so having worked on that Judicial Nomination Commission really has allowed me to give back. Similarly, working on the really only third in Florida's history Constitutional Revision Commission was a honor of a lifetime, and being on the JNC is an honor as well. I have taken and take those roles very seriously. I take input in every decision we make, and we try to make the best decisions, not for me or not for my neighbors, but for the state of Florida as a whole. And I think on the JNC and on the CRC, the results that we've had there have been results that I'm very proud of.
Well, thank you for all of your public service, Fred. I know you're very busy, and for you to take time and to do and work on those committees is incredible. So I want to take a moment to thank our sponsor, Phipps Reporting tonight. Phipps Reporting has been providing exceptional service to the legal community for more than 30 years. Let's take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, I want to hear how you got involved with the insurance industry, Fred.
Look forward to it.
At Rocket Ship Consultants, our mission is to take your organization to the next level. Our team develops strategic communication plans that help entrepreneurs, corporations, associations, and individuals reach new heights. Our consulting team is made up of attorneys with additional experience in journalism, public relations, politics, broadcasting, and advocacy. Let us help you take that dream you have for a podcast or video show and make it into a reality. We can create networking opportunities, educational forums, and interactive conferences to spread your message. Let our team provide you with fresh ideas and inspiration. Rocket Ship Consultants offers a variety of services, so check out our website at rocketshipconsultants.com. Take off with Rocket Ship Consultants and launch your organization with us.
And welcome back. Our guest tonight is insurance expert Fred Karlinsky. And so Fred, many of us, I know for me, don't think much about insurance until we need it, but you decided to dedicate your career to it. So how did you first decide to get involved in the industry?
Well, so I grew up in Miami, and I went to undergrad at the University of Miami and then law school at FSU. And while I was in law school, Hurricane Andrew hit South Florida, and the firm I was with after I joined law school was doing work for what was then the Florida Residential Property and Casualty JUA. And I started out wanting to and doing litigation, and I wasn't really too good at litigation. And so I started to look at insurance. I went in-house with the JUA, which was the precursor to what's now known as Citizens. And I really enjoy insurance. I mean, if you think about it, you really can't do anything in your life without insurance. I mean, if you have anything of value, you're gonna want to make sure that it's insured. And so I think in a lot of ways, when you talk about public service, I think insurers are providing a public service by making sure that people can insure their wealth and frankly gain wealth by having the ability to insure those types of things. So it's really an interesting field. I think the fact of the matter is you now have the intersection between risk management and finance in the insurance world. And so you've got these enormous values, these buildings, these properties that are worth, tens of millions of dollars. And you're working in the finance arena in addition to risk management. So it's really an interesting field to be in.
Well, Fred, I don't know if you saw that, but I think some of your former students at FSU have been commenting. So you're a rare species of native Floridian. I know you mentioned that you grew up in South Florida. Tell us a little bit more about growing up in Florida.
Growing up in Florida was great. I mean, I never really wanted to leave Florida, even though I've been all around the world and I spend a lot of time in places like New York and Chicago and Atlanta and even California and Texas. I love Florida. Florida is a great state. It was a great place to grow up. I think it's become even a better state as you look around and you see bigger businesses, you see bigger opportunities for people. Florida is one of the most diverse states around. The Hispanic influences in South Florida in particular are great. And so I just think we've got, between the weather and the fact that we don't, by constitution, have a state income tax and will not have a state income tax really puts Florida on a trajectory to be the state for the 22nd century. And so I really look forward to seeing how Florida is going to continue to grow and what we're going to do to take this to the next level. And we will, and we'll do it together. And I think we just have such a great opportunity because of our natural resources and our people. The people in Florida are great. They're hardworking, they're smart. And I think the sky's the limit when you think about what the state of Florida and its citizens can do.
I agree.
Well, Fred, you already talked about having gone to the University of Miami and getting your law degree from Florida State University. Were there things about your college and law school experiences that affected your career path?
Well, look, you're a product of all of your experience. So I think, throughout the University of Miami, while I was there, I was involved in a lot of different things. My last few years, I produced Jimmy Johnson's TV show, The Jimmy Johnson Show, when he was the coach at the University of Miami. I was the Anheuser-Busch campus representative, which was about as much fun as you could get. There's no coincidence that the University of Miami was the #1 party school when I was there, and the Florida State University was the #1 party school when I was in law school there. Don't tell my daughter that because that's where she's going. But in any event, I would just say that, hard work was instilled in me. And I think in college and in law school, that really excelled. I mean, I worked my way through both of those institutions, and I'm proud to have done it. And I think it's made me have better character and a better thought process in going through life.
Fred, I know that getting to the top of your field was no easy task. What advice would you give to other young attorneys or lobbyists trying to get to the top of their fields?
Well, I appreciate the comment that I'm at the top of my field. I'm not sure I feel that way. I mean, every day I've got to start. It's a new day. You've got to keep clients happy. You've got to keep your constituency happy. And so, I guess the old adage, the harder I work, the luckier I get, is really a true adage. One of the things that I've told my kids that I would offer as advice to some of the associates in the firm or some of the other employees is the harder you work now, the easier it'll get later. Although they see how hard I work now, and I'm not sure they agree that that's actually true. But I will say this to you. I appreciate the kind words about where I am in the game, but I will tell you this, I work and think every day like I'm about 50 paces behind anyone, and I think that's what you need to do to be successful.
That's probably added to your success. Early in your career, you helped operate the Florida Joint Underwriters Association, which is the precursor to Citizens Property Insurance Company. Can you tell us about the Joint Underwriters Association and its role in Florida?
Well, sure. After Hurricane Andrew, and all states have some type of JUAs for different distressed type of insurance markets. But after Hurricane Andrew, there were 13 insurers that failed. There were hundreds of thousands of policies without a home. And so the state created the JUA, which now is, as we mentioned, is Citizens. It was a precursor to Citizens when the Florida Windstorm Underwriting Association, which in large part started in the 1970s, but in large part covered policies in the Keys, and the Florida Residential Property JUA, Property Casualty JUA were merged. Citizens came about. And the benefit of Citizens is that it is a tax exempt entity. And so in good years, the dollars that would have otherwise gone to the federal government for taxes remain in the state of Florida. But I think what I learned through that process is effectively how to run an insurance company. We took the JUA at the time, from about 1.5 million policies down to about 60,000 policies. And I've worked in various iterations to help do that, along with many others, several different times now. And I think right now we're in a crisis mode. You have Citizens that went down to about 400,000 policies just 2 years ago. That's now creeping up, and by all estimates, it's going to be at about 800,000 policies at the end of the year. And that policy count number may not be that meaningful to people, but when you look at what the probable maximum loss on those policies is, and when you look at the TIV, the total insured value of those policies, and then you think about the fact that while Citizens is in the best financial shape it's ever been, it's still probably, if there was a 1 in 100 or a 1 in 500 storm, God forbid, in any given year, the assessments that would be put on initially the Citizens policies and then later all policies in the state of Florida is dramatic. So the work that then Governor, now Senator Scott did, and Governor DeSantis now is doing to try and bring that organization, their numbers down and bring it under control, is very important, not only to the insureds in the state, but to everyone in the state.
And you've been doing this for 30 years, and with Greenberg Traurig for nearly 7. Is there something more that you'd like to tell us about your legal practice and what keeps you motivated to work in this industry?
So, no, it's scary when you look back and you think I've been doing this since 1993. I graduated in December 92, took the bar in February 93 and started practicing, got admitted shortly thereafter and started practicing shortly thereafter. So going on about 30 years now. No, I just think, every day is a new day. Every day is an interesting day. Every day you've got to educate policymakers and consumers and your own clients as well. And so again, I think waking up every day and just giving it your all is really what motivates me. Helping people start up companies, helping people work through problems are things that I enjoy doing. And I do it, from early morning till late night, 7 days a week.
And Fred, if somebody wanted to get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to do so?
Best way to get in touch with me is by email. That email address is on the screen right there, but it's Karlinsky, my last name, Karlinsky, first initial F, at gtlaw.com, greenbergtrauriglaw.com. And so it's with a K and a Y, not a C and an I, like I used to say, and with my first initial right after my last name.
Perfect.
Fred, you have a daughter starting at Florida State this fall. Tell us what it means for you to have your daughter, go to FSU like you and stay in Florida.
Well, so I think it's great that she's staying in Florida. Again, I hope she doesn't hear this because she was going all over. She was going to New York, to California, anywhere to get away from us crazy people, meaning my wife and I. And ultimately, she decided to stay in Florida, which is great. She was centering and focusing on Florida State and Miami, which is also great because those are my two alma mater. She even was really interested in UF, got into all those schools and decided on FSU, which I think is going to be a great choice for her. It makes it really easy. I've got a condo, obviously, in Tallahassee. I'm there all the time. And my wife is in her role as a member of the Volunteer Florida, the Governor's Commission on Community Service. She's been on that board for nearly 12 years, has chaired it a number of times. So between us, we'll be up there enough to offer her support. We'll be close enough where we'll be able to get our fix of our daughter, who we love very much, and far enough where we probably won't see the crazy things she's going to do just about every day.
Well, that's wonderful. And I'm up here in Tallahassee, Fred. So if you ever need anything or your daughter ever needs anything, please give her my cell phone number. I'm happy to help her with anything she might need. Well, thank you, Fred, for joining us tonight.
Well, thanks for having me. I think this is a great format, and congratulations on all the success that Rocket Ship has had, and Floridaville is a great format, and I appreciate and I'm honored to have joined you tonight.
Thanks. Well, that wraps up tonight's episode of the Floridaville Express. Be sure to tune in Monday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern to catch our show live. And remember, you can watch previous episodes of the Floridaville Express on our YouTube channel and on Facebook. Next week, we're going to speak with founder of Eat Figo, Robert Nappy, and discuss sous vide cooking in the kitchen and his invention.
And if you've been thinking about creating a video show or podcast like this one, we can help you with that. Our company, Rocket Ship Consultants, can strategize with you and help you launch your multimedia shows and events. Also, reach out to us if you're interested in sponsoring this show, like tonight's sponsor, Fitz Reporting. Sponsorships create positive long-term brand awareness, introduce your important work to new audiences, potential clients and customers, and keep your organization connected and relevant. Contact us for more information so we can spotlight the trailblazing work that you and your organization are doing. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. Have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you next week.
Good night.